Where I'm finding a little bit of optimism on, okay, if you don't want to trade him before the deadline because you got no good offers, you want to hold him through this season and then revisit the market this summer, and what Joey was saying about maybe there are some more suitors. Mm-hmm. The thing that's frustrating most to me is that this multifaceted narrative of who Zach LaVine NBA player is right now is the shittiest version that has existed. Mm-hmm. I think 100%. Basically since his career began, it's the shittiest version. Last season, he played like an all-star for 2/3 of the season after his slow start coming off offseason surgery. The 2 seasons prior to that, he was an NBA all-star. Basically spanning those 3 seasons minus a slow start last season, he was a 25-5-5 player on efficient shooting and difficult shot making. He's also on a contract that, yes, is big, but Will talking about the new CBA rules and not being able to aggregate salaries if you're a team above the apron and all that stuff. The other part of CBA that is going to be on the minds of NBA executives this summer is, that cap's going up though, and I got to sign this player to this contract, and I got to sign this player to that contract, and suddenly players who signed their maxes when Zach signed his and the remaining years on that won't look as bad by comparison. If Zach can come back at some point assuming he doesn't get traded at the trade deadline, and play more like the version of Zach we saw for the better part of the last 3 years than the version of Zach we saw for a month and a half, who looked disengaged, who looked pouty, and who got off to a rough shooting start, then maybe that trade value goes up back to a respectable place where Bulls fans want it to be. If they sell now, they're selling at the bottom, the absolute bottom of his trade value. That's the part that is concerning and frustrating and makes it like at least a little bit okay. I can see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel if he's still here after the deadline, even though I think the best course of action still is to change directions between now and February 8th.
The pushback that I would have on that is you're saying that it would be the absolute, lowest possible value. I just don't know if that's true. What happens if next year you have to attach a pick to get off of him?
I suppose that possible reality exists. The other part that you might be able to make up for if he does play is that now, because of the last 2 months, he has the injury-prone label again as a player, which I thought for the last 3 years he did a lot of solid work to move past. Mm-hmm. Like he played Bulls career high number of games last season after he missed a few out of the gate.
He did.
And he's played a lot of games over the last 3 years. The injury-prone thing has always been wrong on the national NBA media scale.
But it's wrong until it's not. And I think right now it's not. Like, I disagree with that, but it's like it's manifested. That's the reality that we're living in. And let's say he's kind of playing like this for the rest of the year.
How do you get
another ankle
to a point where his trade value is lower than the most trusted national NBA reporter calling his trade market barren? How do you go beneath that?
Because you might have to attach pick, because now he's a year removed, another year removed from being an all-star. He's another year removed from being a fully healthy player. Like, I do think that this can get worse. I used to, yesterday, if you would have asked me that, I would have said, there's no way this could possibly get worse. Mm-hmm. But the reality that I think it's possible they might have to attach a pick. Crazy as it sounds, I'm kind of laughing at it because it's so ridiculous, but that could happen, where now you're so desperate that you have to attach a first-round pick to get rid of Zach LaVine. And, that is a much worse outcome.